What's going on, everyone? David with David Took It, photography, videography, serving the Southern Colorado area for the last 3 years. I asked you guys on Instagram what you wanted me to talk about, and here's a few of them. The first one is going to be from Josh Lepic. He asked, how do you sync multiple cameras to switch back and forth in Final Cut? Well, good news for you, Josh. I only edit in Final Cut. So let me show you my workflow. This took me a while. This could be used with 2-camera setup for talking head interviews or in multicam footage for your wedding film, such as for the ceremony or first dances. Part of being a successful videographer is simplifying your workflow. So I'm going to take you through how I go about doing my multi-head talking head interviews. Step 1, know ahead of time when you're shooting camera A, camera B, and then your audio is separate, or if you're feeding into a lavalier, know which one has the lavalier and label it within your files. So I'll say camera 1, we're going to switch to the computer here. I've already got it imported, but you would import camera 1. We're going to select it in the timeline, my bad. And then this is our main angle. Now, the next angle was a little tighter of a shot. We're also going to select that. So I press Command and click. And then the audio we ran separate from a Rode NTG into a pod track. So we're going to select that. Now, back in the day, I used to set clip A and then try and sync up clip B and then try and sync everything on top of that. Final Cut can sync it for you. So all we're going to do, right click, and we're going to say New Multicam Clip. It's going to bring up a bunch of options. Make sure your frame rate is correct. I shot this in 60, I believe. There's no reason to shoot a talking head shot in 60. I don't know. It's what I do. Leave me alone. Anyway, the most important thing is use audio for synchronization and then name the multi-clip. So we're going to say CEO multi A and B. We're going to press OK. If you have a fast computer, it should go pretty quickly. As you see, M1 MacBook Pro working its magic. It's almost done. But what this is doing is making one compound clip that you can drag in. So we're going to File, New, Project, Test, Talking, 60 frames a second. Make sure that matches up. Boom. Okay, so now we have a timeline. We're going to drag it down. This is our multi. If you press Command-Shift-7, it's going to bring up a window I guarantee you've never seen before. What this is doing is both of the stacked angles. So we're going to find the spot where we asked a question.
Actually, it's not only the number of section itself.
There's 3 buttons up here. There's video and audio, video only, or audio only. We have an audio only source, so we're going to select audio only and select our source. Make sure your play marker is where you want it because it's going to create a cut right there. Next, what we are going to do, man, I zoomed in. Next, what we're going to do is find the frame that we want to come in on. Let's start with a tighter shot in this one. We're going to switch video only. If you are using a Rode Video Mic Go or anything that feeds directly into the camera, like my setup for this is feeding right into the top handle of my FX30. So you have to select audio and video on that one if that's what you're going to do. Or you can select audio, like if clip A has the good audio, select audio clip A and then video for clip B and A, and it'll switch back and forth. So what this is going to do essentially is we're going to select our angle. Boom, we ask our question.
Actually, it's not only the number of section itself. Actually, as you mentioned several times during the keynote meeting.
That one seems to be a little off, but normally it's pretty on point.
Driving ourselves to the
But yeah, usually it's on point. Let me go back because there is the actual talking head interview and you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so here's one.
On this PIP need to try be improved.
So if you're going to make a hard cut, let's say he stutters right there, you can actually blade hard cut, and then let's say he fixes it on the other side of this cut. You can do that and then switch angles, and it's a seamless cut.
Try their process, their work as well.
Boom. Even if they stutter, it's okay. I let them know ahead of time, hey, if you stutter, restart, finish your thought, whatever, we can make it look okay. The goal is to not have to do that, but still. But yeah, down and dirty, that's how I edit multicam footage. Josh then asked a really good follow-up question. Is a 2 or 3 camera setup better? 2 facing each head, or a third with both, or shoot 8K and crop. Well, I don't have a camera that shoots 8K. I believe Red is the only one that allows for native 8K. I could be wrong. Maybe some cinema cameras do. I'm Team Sony, so I don't think we do. Maybe the FX6 does. I think that's 6K. I'm not too sure, but I'm assuming you're talking for a podcast type setup. Luckily for you, we run a podcast, Lasting Legacy Podcast. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. So it just depends. So if you're shooting like a Dateline type interview where it is interviewer and then their interviewee, and then you pan back and forth based off who's talking. For that, I would probably do a 3-camera setup. One with a tight shot facing the person giving the interview, the other one on the other side facing the person who's asking, answering the questions. Those are tight shots. Maybe your 85s, maybe, you put a 70 to 200 and you really punch in there. That's some stuff 60 minutes would do. And then right in the middle, I would do maybe like a 35 millimeter wide or a 50 wide, depending on what kind of set you're on. You don't want to see any of the behind the scenes set. And then I would switch back and forth. For our podcast, when we make the reels, we do a 1-camera setup, and when the other podcast host will cut our clips for TikTok, because we record horizontally, he will just punch in, and we're only shooting 1080 and it doesn't look that bad. But if we shot in 4K, it would look a lot better, but our file sizes would be ridiculous. But he would just punch in on the person and then punch in on the other person. You could do that. You see a lot of fake dolly shots. I'll do it right here. You'll see a lot of fake dolly shots where the camera will kind of push in. That's all done in editing, and you can get away with that, making it look like there's a dolly. The other thing is you can punch for jump cuts. So you can say, wow, editing multicam footage could be super easy if you take these steps. You could do stuff like that. You see a lot of YouTubers do that. There's an algorithm that says like, if your camera angle doesn't switch or move within the first second or 2 second, that your retention goes down 50%. I don't really know the exact numbers, but it's something along those lines. So if that's important to you, absolutely. I would say anything more than 3 cameras gets a little hard. Now we're talking about, you have to be able to mic 2 separate people, and a safety track essentially. So I would put, a mic above them in the middle that they kind of both talk to right out of frame. Like mine is right here. I don't know if you can see it. Yep, it's right there. Let me put it back up there. I would do one of those in the middle, and then maybe some wireless lapels on each person. But if the lapel for some reason messes up, you can always cut back to this ambient mic, or if something else happens, you have the audio from the ambient mic as well. But on a podcast, you're going to have a microphone right here, so I guess it doesn't really matter. So hope that answers your question.